In Maine this year, local law enforcement agencies have shut down dozens of illegal marijuana grow operations, mostly in rural areas. They say they are related to Chinese organized crime in the black market marijuana trade. The U.S. Attorney's Office say law enforcement has shut down more than 40 grow ops as of early May this year. They believe they have identified about 100 illegal grows in the state. Most of them are in Franklin, Kennebec, Lincoln, and Somerset counties. The Somerset County Sheriff's Office says it alone has executed 18 search warrants related to suspected marijuana grows just between January and May of this year. The investigations have made national news. NBC's Jacob Soboroff has been in Maine digging into these investigations. He joins us live now from the NBC Bureau in Los Angeles. Jacob, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Zach, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
During your own investigation, what did you learn about why these grow operations are popping up here in Maine specifically?
Well, I think what you mentioned, Zach, in your introduction, which is most of these grows have been in rural areas. And we've been looking at this phenomenon, Chinese organized crime's involvement in the black market of marijuana across the country for the better part of 2 years. We now know, according to the DEA, that in 23 states this is happening. Maine is only the latest hotspot, but a hotspot it is indeed. And if you talk to any sheriffs, you mentioned Somerset County, like Sheriff Lancaster, you will know that this is almost a full-time job on top of the other jobs that sheriffs across the state of Maine have. Now they're chasing all of these illegal grows. And what they suspect, and what federal law enforcement is also looking into, I talked to Senator Collins about this a little bit in the piece tonight on Nightly News, is that there are ties to larger transnational criminal organizations, particularly from China. And obviously that's raised great concern there, especially in the rural communities of Maine.
So is that where the money from these grow operations is going, to those transnational organizations?
That is the idea. That's sort of the working theory, and you won't hear that from the director of the FBI quite yet, or necessarily the heads of the DEA. But when you talk to agents on the ground, money laundering is a big part of this. There's even a collaboration. There was a new indictment unsealed in Los Angeles today, not necessarily related to marijuana, but about money laundering between transnational criminal organizations from China and Mexican cartels, as a matter of fact. And ultimately, what's happening here, if you talk to federal law enforcement, is that the money from these marijuana grows is interconnected with the money and the product coming into the country in the fentanyl trade. And obviously, that is also of great concern, not just to people in Maine, but across the country as well.
Of course. And Jacob, I know you sat down, you mentioned sitting down with Maine Senator Susan Collins, who has a lot of security concerns here beyond just the marijuana part of all this, right?
She sure does. And I think, Senator Collins suspects perhaps that this could reach some of the highest levels of the Chinese government. And I want to play a little clip for you right now, Zach. Take a look.
Chinese transnational criminal groups seem to be targeting rural areas. What we don't know is it a threat to our national security?
Sounds like you're saying this is bigger than marijuana.
I think it is bigger than marijuana. It may be an attempt to probe our defenses.
So you hear her say there, Zach, it may be an attempt to probe our defenses. On a local level in Maine, this is a hyper-local issue. It's cutting into the lack of supply of affordable housing. There is unlicensed and unregulated marijuana in communities throughout rural Maine. But as importantly, Senator Collins is saying, what are the national security implications of these groups moving into rural Maine, moving into other rural parts of the country in order to set up these grow operations? And what are the connections between Chinese transnational criminal organizations and the Chinese government itself? We'll tell you more about what she thinks and what federal law enforcement has said in response tonight on NBC Nightly News.
All right, NBC's Jacob Soboroff, thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing your story tonight.